Hello and welcome to the third part of the Pisces Virgo nodal transit. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. All of this is going to be bringing in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that I want to come through in this reading. Now, there's two parts already out and live. The first part, I break down North Node, South Node. What does that mean? What's the significance of eclipses? As well as go into detail about the Pisces North Node. Part two, I focus on that South Node in Virgo. In this part, we're going to be talking about Jupiter and Mercury, the rulers of these signs, where they're going to be. We're going to be talking about Gemini and Sagittarius, because this axis is where the nodes are going to be building and manifesting. At the time of recording, the ascendant is in Gemini. We've got that North Node up in the 10th house and the Virgo down in the 4th. So we're really tapping into the theme of what I'm going to bring into this reading. I'm also going to be pulling some cards on so I pulled collective tarot cards in the other two parts of like the theme of the transit. I'm going to pull a couple of cards on how to work with these energies, right? What to focus on. The buzzwords for this nodal transit, right, is practical magic. That Pisces North Node is allowing us to believe in miracles, right? To be held by source, by the all, know that we are connected to it, right? Find more intuitive resonance with the synchronicities and the non-linear ways of things manifesting out of thin air. That South Node in Virgo is letting go of perfectionism, of the finite materialist rational mindset based on observations. And from the past, we then expect the now to be recreated, right? We're letting go of a lot of control energy that comes from fear and allowing ourselves to find the joy in the creativity of facilitating the magic that's coming through, right? Getting out of our own way. We are allowing our awareness to engage in the magical reality, right? And not let our rational mindset get in the way and block that transmission. There's a great deal of faith and a great deal of elevating how we facilitate that magic into the 3D world. So in part one, as I said, I pulled some collective tarot cards, but I also felt called to use a deck that I haven't used for ages, which is, I think it's called Spirit Messages by John Holland. And I got the card Believe for the Pisces energy. And it says, the force that works through your soul, determining what's possible or impossible, the difference between success over failure, and above all, who you are, is the power of your belief. Now, Jupiter traditionally rules Pisces, which is what I work with. And Jupiter is very much about faith, right? And how to bring that into our existence. And with faith, we allow ourselves to not know everything, right? To trust in the process, to soften, to surrender, and have that real sense of knowing within us the truth of that we are loved unconditionally and that there is abundance for everyone. And that is one of the mindsets, right? The lack of that mindset, the that's not possible mindset of that reality. We're dissolving that with Neptune was conjunct the North Node when the nodes moved into Pisces and Virgo, right? So I'm also going to be talking about in this video the astrology of the exact moments the nodes moved in there, because that kind of imprints the whole transit. We get upgrades with every eclipse that's going to happen. But there's an outline here. And so when I put cards away, I'll cut the deck, but I'll always look at the card where I've cut the deck because often it's like a clarifier. And we got Just Ask. There are many here in the spirit world that can assist you at this time. We are made up of divine source, your loved ones, friends, guides, angels, and spirit helpers who are waiting to assist you. We are your spiritual team, and all you have to do is ask for our help and guidance. Now, Virgo, and I say this as a Virgo sun, really struggles asking for help, right? So this is really highlighting the feedback loop between the North Node in Pisces, what we're headed for, what we're striving for, what we're expanding into, what's being amplified, and the South Node over in Virgo, what's being let go, what's being released, what's being purged, and then what's left, and how we refine that in a deeper esoteric meaning. So already these cards are highlighting what we want to focus on with that Pisces energy by acknowledging the struggle bus over in Virgo, of not being able to ask for help, right? And so often we can struggle with that because we then put expectations and assumptions around those actions, right? Around how we think things are going to turn out, right? One side of that is the rational, finite, observant, high quality observant skill of Virgo that is very often able to facilitate the 3D experience because it's able to connect the dots, Mercury, in the 3D of how to bring a flow of information. But it can do so based on the sort of the material, the earth energy of what you can observe rather than the things that you do not know, right? So we're releasing that sense of restriction around being open to sources, help and guidance, right? And that the best way through that is without any expectations of what that may look like. Certainly my experience since the nodes have changed signs and the lead up to this, because we often feel a transit in the lead up, is relinquishing my fears, my worries, my planning, my to-do list, all very Virgo energy, softening, surrendering, and in after that softened moment, I'll instinctively be drawn to go and do something. And then whether it's on the same day, the next week, sources provided. That whatever that fear, whatever that worry, whatever, oh, that doesn't quite work, oh, I'd quite like it that way, it's turned up. And it's been quite profound. And I've had trust issues my whole life. I think we all do. And it's really turned a corner over the last year. We've been doing a lot of prep work for this nodal axis of feeling in my body, genuinely feeling, because so often we can have the mental pursuit, that Mercury energy. But I now have a faith in it. And that faith is turning into a knowing because it keeps showing up. I feel held, even though things haven't gone well or gone right? In those moments, I feel held and I haven't been in conflict or fear and worry, obviously a little bit, but it's not my predominant energy. And then without me trying to control or push at anything, circumstances outside of me have shifted and changed, right? So what we're doing is letting go of control, letting go of pushing. We're in yin energy here. Earth and water is yin. And that is the surrender, the softening, and then the observing as things unfold, right? If you feel the energy within you, there's resistance, be like water. Find a way around it. Go do something different, right? Get back more into that flow state. And then you will find that the solutions will come through from that place of least resistance. Oh, that was quite a cool transmission. Right, so let's look at the oracle card I was called to do for the Virgo side of it. We've got gratitude. Life is one big continuous circle of giving and receiving energy. Be thankful for who and what is in your life instead of complaining about what you don't have. If you focus on gratitude, you'll start to attract prosperity and abundance. Now, Virgo, hypercritical, because it's always observing, right? It's always making judgments based on that high observation level, right? And that can be internal criticism, external criticism, self-judgment of not being perfect, always looking for solutions because you're always seeing problems, right? Rather than things to play with. They don't work around the third eye. Whereas that other transmission was at the solar plexus of like the actions that we take when I was saying surrender. They're activating energy in the third eye. They're activating a frequency of being, of the, oh God, this is a hard one to say out loud, of the unfolding of the true reality that you are loved in your imperfections. You don't have to be getting everything right. I was getting so many things wrong in the Virgo reading. More like I don't, just through my observational skills as a Virgo sun, I do get things wrong. We all get things wrong. But the level of things that I was getting wrong in that Virgo reading, obviously I clarified and rewrited it, but an old Virgo version of me would have been mortified, would have stopped the video, started all over again, and made sure everything was streamlined. We're really going to have to let go of that energy being predominant, because there's a lot of things that are recalibrating, and one of them that will help you with the Virgo energy is not be in shame if you haven't got it right, if you haven't figured it out. This isn't about all the 5 million plans. This is about being grateful in the moment for whatever's going on around you, right? And that releases the control. It opens your vessel up to then bring in that Pisces North Node energy. They're always working together, the South and the North Node, into an alignment, right? Again, that practical magic, and that magic is based on love. And so what was underneath that is choices. When you accept responsibility for your life and the choices you make, you begin to tap into the power of your own spirit. You'll be able to listen to and appreciate the intuitive wisdom that's inside you and apply it positively and constructively to your outside world. So this is accepting that we can be wrong, accepting the choices rather than being in regret that perhaps you didn't streamline that plan in the way to your highest level that you thought you possibly could, right? Accepting it, being at peace with it, and then seeing how you show up in the next moment, rather than like, I didn't get all those A stars. I wasn't top of the class, that kind of energy. Accepting the decisions that you've made. So often Virgo can be in regret because it's like, if only I'd done that, I would have streamlined it even further, right? So it's that finessing, it's the refinement, but in a way that comes from shame. They were doing some work around the digestive system, which Virgo rules, and this release and this refinement is facilitating an upgrade in our intuition and how we digest information, right? Digestive system in terms of the literal food, right? The nutrients that we're getting. We are finding deeper levels of nourishment from the information that we're gaining from the world around us, right? Because we're elevated, the collective consciousness is elevating. You can see it in the rise of certain modalities that are becoming more prevalent, and everyone's getting more into sort of at least thinking that there may be something bigger out there rather than the finite materialistic expectations. We're finding that in lots of research and lots of studies. It is the great unfolding, and with this unfolding, new skills and tools to work with this expansion of reality are coming through, and this is the refinement of that in order for us to work with the power of source in the 3D world and facilitate it into it. Right, what shall we focus on? What needs to be focused on to really amplify the intention of the South Node in Virgo? If we keep expecting things to turn out how we've observed them in the past, it is fundamentally limiting our experience. Dianima, o toela dianima, o toela dianima, o toela dianima, Otofala di anima. Ishalimonduela di anima. I'm going to mention while I'm shuffling, I already said this in the, I believe it was the Pisces video, that on the day, well, it's actually the day after, because the nodes change signs here in the UK around 11 p.m. on the 11th of January. The next day, which was a Sunday, I was just tidying up some things in the garden. We'd had a massive frost, right, for the day before, or at least maybe from Friday, a massive frost. And there's a stray cat who lives in the area, and we feed the stray cat. Regulars will know that adopted two black sister cats over the summer, and they hang out with the stray, which is lovely. It's taken a little while for them all to be okay with each other, but anyway, we feed the stray, who's now every morning outside my window meowing, going, hey, where's my breakfast? But I'm here for it. Anyway, I'd left out a water bowl. And it was a ceramic bowl that was painted blue. It was brown on the inside. Well, it was you could see the colour of the ceramic on the inside. And it was blue on the outside. And it was full of ice. And when I went to pick it up, so the water had frozen in there, it cracked into three. Itufala di anima. Three's the magic number. Itala doete anima otoela. And Virgo is often the vessel, right? The vessel of how we bring about flow into the 3D world. It is often linked into health, right? Of taking care of that vessel. And as I said, facilitating the ecosystem within it. And the water is that Pisces energy, that those miracles, those abundance that is going to be incredibly powerful, that is going to crack open our vessel, and let go of things that no longer serve us anymore, right? And really allow us to refine that. So in order to work with this sort of cracking open in a way that isn't going to discombobulate you to a place of being disillusioned or dissatisfied with the experience, really we're being called to soften our energy, to understand that things are unfolding and we do not have all the answers, to be okay with not knowing, to be open and curious, right? To be, as I said, just that softening, not trying to push at anything or try and control anything. And that will allow these cracks to be sealed up with gold. There's a Japanese, I believe it's Japanese, I think I'm pretty sure it's Japanese, called kunsigi. Itoela di anima, duscelima di anima o toela di anima, where it's deemed a beautiful thing of repairing a pot, repairing something that's broken with gold. Ilama di alama doe shalima doela di anima. There's a lot of arguments around sort of having big consciousness breaks, emotional breaks. I've certainly had plenty of those in my lifetime. The last one was Christmas 2018, where I finally decided to commit to, if I am alive, I gotta commit to it, and that embarked me on this journey. Toela di anima. You know, Pisces can often be about mental health, right? And the struggle with that. So I really want you to allow the softness and the kindness when you may be in those situations, to know that, you know, you think about the dark night of the soul before the breakthrough. There's a lot of spiritual teachers out there who are saying what we're going through at the moment is in fact that we're recalibrating our 3D and multidimensional sphere, and we've had to go to extremes in order to break everything down. If you think of the tower, so I just want you to be really, really loving and kind and be in a state of non-conflict about what's going to unfold. In terms of certain paradigms of the rational world breaking down in your reality, and that can be really disorientating. And I say that as someone whose body started moving independently of my conscious self nearly 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in May, which is damn weird. There's no getting around it. It's absolutely, there we go, bananas that like the energy that moves through me feels so alive and so present and in its pure flow state, but it's incredibly disarming. And at the time I had to soften to what was going on rather than freak out, right? So they're really wanting the energy of just a softness in what you expect, in what you perceive, and allow your support team around you to facilitate the unfolding of the vessel with the embodiment of this magic that's coming through. They've been doing a lot of stuff around the third eye. They brought the third eye energy to the heart space. Right, so we've got some cards that to work with the South Node in Virgo. We've got Judgment in reverse, and this is about the inner ascension process, the inner releasing, right, of old versions of self, because we've got the dead here, right, and they can be old versions of you as well as your ancestors and your past life energy. We can have a lot of restriction around miracles, like a lot of religions would deem me to be not the best, right, especially I'm doing tarot and dearie me, all of that stuff. I mean, it's just a form of divination, which is communion with source. It's all the same thing, but there can be a lot of blocks in our old versions of self in old lifetimes around this capacity to engage with such an expansive connection and feeling to source. And often when I get cards in reverse, this is the inner journey, right? The inner recalibration. So we are letting go of inner structures within ourselves, right? In order to come into a better state of judgment. So there's this acknowledgement of the South Node being there. What are you going to let go of? Be open to it. Be open to the shifts and the changes that are going to happen until, when is it? July 2026. And with that, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. Be open to those shifts with the understanding that you're stepping into new territory, right? A new, fresh energy, this renewal of the Virgo energy. And we see here there's a portal and there are mountains through the portal. And for me, this is a new earth card, right? Of blending the multidimensional sphere into the 3D reality, right? Essentially bringing that integrated frequencies through our vessel. And creating heaven on earth. It's that kind of vibe. We've also got the flowers of the magician. So this is saying a fresh new energy around how we manifest, how we understand our environment and use the resources around it, right? In order, as within, so without. So we are letting go of a lot of stuff within that is recalibrating our magician energy. And obviously this is Mercury, and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So this is, as I said, fresh new energy around our understanding of the magician, right? And I've got the Chariot. I was just asking the deck, okay, well, how do we get into this space, right? The magician. And the Chariot is all about not controlling anything. There are no reins here. And there's a balance between the yin and the yang. There's balance internally. And this figure understands that everything around it is a resource. Every experience it's ever had has got it where it is now. And it's now able, through the sense of release and not controlling, able to move through the world with victory. So there's this element of getting rid of control, right? Of trusting in your intuitive body to guide you to do the things that you need to do, right? Because it's Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. Itoela dialama dofala e tianima o toela dianima o toela dishanimo tofala. Just wondering if we got, no, okay, we've got all the cards out. That following that sense of surrender, of the Chariot doesn't have plans of where it's going. It trusts in the process. It trusts it's protected and safe. You think of the crab and it's got a shell on it, right? You are safe. You are being protected. But you've got to let go of the fear in order to sort of really harness this frequency. And I know I'm saying that given everything that's going on in the world, right? But the less we're in conflict, the more we're creating from a sense of co-creation and a place of abundance. And we've got the Three of Cups, right? This is a real sense of union and flow, right? This follows in with the gratitude energy and that choices, when you accept responsibility for your life and the choices you make. That's this, right? No regret, no shoulda, woulda, coulda. This is a time to be in the present, and this is doubled up by that Three of Cups of rather than that state of ingratitude of existence. This is about, how do you find the joy, the flow, the union, right? How do you find the abundance, even if there may be restrictions and limitations and things falling away? They're really calling you to bring in that Pisces energy, bring in that water body, trusting in your support team, your guides, right? The Birth of Venus Tarot was the first person I heard reference this, of like, this is you and your support team being in unity. So we're doing the internal work with the acknowledgement that that's bringing in the Ace of Pentacles, which is allowing us to work with the Magician energy at a higher level that isn't about control, right? It's about that pure flow state from the inner to the outer world. Right, I'm going to talk about Mercury for a second. Mercury is ruling the South Node. So wherever Mercury is, it's always going to be influencing what's going on in the South Node. And obviously Mercury is the fastest moving planet in the solar system. And so it's going to go through all the signs. It's in Capricorn. It was in Capricorn at the exact moment the nodes changed signs. So we have this sense of collecting information that's serving the long-term plan, that Capricorn energy of being able to go the distance, right? And it's going to go through the whole circuit. It's going to go through all 12 signs. And it's going to, when the nodes change signs to Aquarius and Leo, it's going to be in the sign of Cancer. So it's opposite Capricorn, and this is the Cancer card. So it's reconnecting through that this journey that we're all headed on. We're connecting to this heightened emotional body, right? That's allowing more freedom of flow for us to initiate our intuition at any given moment with a sense of trust. Obviously that Cancer full moon was the first lunation after the nodes had changed signs. That full moon was wild. There were so many synchronicities around that, and that was one of the themes that came through in that, which I feel is very relevant to the unfolding here, is soul retrieval, right? Of many different aspects of our soul, many faceted nature of self. We are pulling them all back home. We are becoming into a state of unification. Now obviously Mercury is all about the information that we observe and collect and communicate and process and understand. For me, Mercury is all about flow, because it's about the exchange of information, and everything in the universe is information, and therefore Mercury touches everything. And so Mercury is going to be helping us recalibrate in every area of our chart. Remember, it's going to go all the way around the zodiac and then another half, right? It's going to be helping rejig, reorganize, let go of distorted beliefs in what information we're able to collect in those areas of our lives, what we're focused on, right? Say we've got a trauma response that points us in a certain direction whenever we're in that environment, and we're constantly recreating the past, i.e. that Virgo observation energy, expecting it thinking it's showing up right now, when in fact things are radically changing. Mercury's going to be rejigging all of that. And as I said, it's going to be your whole chart and a half. So you'll notice a shift with what's being released in the South Node in Virgo every time Mercury changes signs. And interestingly enough, the next retrograde it's going to do starts in Aries but goes back into Pisces. So we're bringing that North Node in Aries with the North Node in Pisces together, right? Of our instincts being in alignment with this magical reality and how we perceive and work with it. You also want to look to where your Mercury is in your natal chart, right? I will reference this when I do the All 12 Signs series, because wherever Mercury is in your natal chart is always influencing Virgo. So that's going to give you an understanding of like the deeper meaning of what's being transformed here, because wherever Mercury is, the themes of the house that it's in are going to be very, very relevant for you in this nodal transit. Okay, how to work with the Pisces energy. Right, so water is so powerful, so much memory. I go into lots more detail in the part one, that this sense of connection, this sense of reciprocity, this sense of openness, this sense of shape-shifting of, you know, gas, solid, liquid, all of that sort of vibe, the mutable energy of Pisces and Virgo, of our capacity to adapt and change, be open and curious, to allow the, as I say, the non-rational energy, to not discredit it, to not disbelieve. It's not about taking everything as true and everything as read, but it's about allowing your vessel to be open. To trust that you're being held, to trusting in the unfolding of the miracles. And sometimes those miracles aren't going to look how you think they're going to look, but they're going to lead you to somewhere deeper and more resonant. I've had a huge shift this week, absolutely huge, with this nodal transit and that full moon in Cancer, which was closing out the nodal transit in Aries and Libra. Just going to pause for a second. I've got some throat clearing to do. Sorry about that. I was getting a tickle in my throat. That through observation, remember, yin energy observes, it brings nuance and depth, right? And both of these signs are yin energy. The North Node is more of a yang energy. It's the outward amplification and manifestation and the actions, right? So there's a real sense of being open to what your surrender energy then leads you to do in terms of following that Piscean energy. As I said, non-rational. It's more the the connections that you would never have automatically thought of, right? That seem very disconnected, but there's a deeper meaning underneath them. Jupiter rules Pisces. Traditionally, toela di anima o toela di anima o toela di scenima o toela di anima, do scenima di anima, do scenima elama di anima, do fala di anima o toela di scenimoiela di anima. Or toala di anima. So, sorry, I'm just talking about Jupiter. And Jupiter, let me just finish that and then we'll get onto the tarot cards. Jupiter is in Gemini, and Jupiter is very much about faith, very much about wisdom and bringing things together in order to elevate. It's also a very generous spirit. It's a yes planet, but it's about the higher picture, the bigger perspective, whereas Mercury is more of the details of it all. We're scrapping the plan, we're scrapping the details. Instead, it's about embodying a deeper knowing and a trust and a faith in how things are unfolding. It's not about losing your agency. Through this surrender, our instincts and our agency, because we did all that work with Aries of our instinct, our individual instinct being activated with this North Node in Pisces, of the confidence to explore and expand into new territory, right? With this deeper knowing. Now, Jupiter is in Gemini. It was retrograde at the time of the nodal shift. I love a Jupiter retrograde. It is about the total inner recalibration around your knowing, your faith, your confidence, right? Your inner abundance, your inner strategy, right? Of how to manifest and expand in the world. It pulls down a lot of structures. It has you questioning things, which is so healthy, and, you know, needing it to prove itself and show up. And it's in Gemini, squaring the nodes by sign. They're not by degree yet, because Jupiter, I believe, is around 13 degrees of Gemini at the moment. That, again, a fellow mutable sign ruled by Mercury, that we've got this feedback loop at the moment while Jupiter's still in Gemini, of Mercury ruling it. So there's a real alignment, and for most of the last half of last year, Jupiter, while Mercury was in Sagittarius, Jupiter and Mercury were ruling the whole chart the whole time, right? So we've been really working on recalibrating our bigger picture and allowing our capacity to engage with information at a higher level in the details that are in alignment with this breaking down of structures of perspective that Jupiter and Gemini is doing. Gemini is very curious, it's very open-minded, it's very playful, it's non-committal in its energy, so it allows new synapses and new pathways to be manifest. That Jupiter and Gemini transit series was one of my favorites. It's still really relevant because Jupiter won't be moving signs until later on this year. Now, speaking of which, so the Gemini area of your chart is going to be influenced. It's then going to spend it's going to do its whole transit in Cancer, and Cancer is Jupiter's favourite sign to be in, other than the signs that it rules. And then it'll be right at the beginning of Leo. So we've got the mind and the connections that we're making. We've got our intuitive body being amplified, and then our heart space and our courage, right? So this is a rebooting of the nervous system, of the mind synapses, right? Of our capacity to engage with information that is beyond our comprehension. Our intuitive body and our sense of safety and nurturing, got that Cancer energy, being really supported by Jupiter, of trusting and believing in that intuition. And then we get the confidence, the vibrancy of the sun, the heart space of Jupiter being in the sign of Leo, that is really allowing us to lead with our heart after this whole axis of really believing and trusting in co-creating with source. Same as what I said about Mercury. Look to where your Jupiter is, because your Jupiter is always influencing what's going on with Pisces. So look to the themes of the house that it's in. You can also go a little bit deeper and look to, so for example, I've got Jupiter in Aquarius. So I would look to Saturn, who traditionally rules Aquarius, in my natal chart, because Saturn will always be governing Jupiter, and Saturn is in Scorpio for me, which is ruled by Mars, and I've got Mars in Leo, which is ruled by the Sun, and it's in Virgo, ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's in Leo. So my whole chart feedback loops between Mercury and the Sun. So that will give you an understanding of like the energy transfer of what's going to show up for you on a deeper level in terms of this transit. But that Jupiter's faith is a deep knowing that you are the all within the one and the one within the all, right? That hyper connectivity, the unconditional love of Pisces, that ebb and flow, that sense of pure flow state, pure magic, like rabbits out of hats. Like beyond that, rabbits coming out of thin air. That is, we're recalibrating that sense of faith and turning it into a sense of knowing. Now, how to work with the Pisces energy we have. This is the Eight of Swords. This happens to be the Jupiter in Gemini card. So that's quite hilarious that that's turned up. And then we get the Lovers, which is the Gemini energy, where Jupiter is crossing it. We then have the King of Cups, which showed up in the initial Pisces tarot reading. The Empress, hey Venus, she happens to be in Pisces right now, and the Sun. So this is how to work with that Pisces energy, and it's kind of summing up what I've already said, right? That Eight of Swords is about being trapped in a cage of your own making. It highlights illusion, right? Is it Maya? Yeah, Maya. I think that's the Hindu term for the illusion of reality, right? That everything's an illusion. Every idea you have is just a construct that can be broken, right? Think about the philosopher Derrida, who just flipped everything on everything's head and then did it again and then did it again. It just the idea of that sort of deconstruction of reality does things to your brain, even if you don't agree with it, right? It helps crack open the calcification, the rigid nature of the control side of us, which has got us so far, right? So this Eight of Swords, this is saying, hey, there's going to be some realities, some perspectives that are an illusion, and this is about walking away from them, right? If you notice here, you know, the binds are very loose. This figure could just wiggle a little bit, and then she's going to follow the water out. The water is the way through, right? Of allowing that intuition to guide you. Maybe if you could open up to doing a meditation with this card and ask it to help reveal to you what cage you may be trapped in. It's actually an illusion. Now, collectively, it's the illusion of the materialistic, finite structure of reality that we think we're in. We are in that, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other aspects of that reality. If we think that's just it, then, as I said, we block our receivers off from communications, from the connection, right? All our defenses go up, our walls go up, our fear mindset. I talked earlier about the channeling that I do, like basically being possessed. I've had to work through so much. It's been really interesting. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but at the beginning, it would get to a point where my very primal animal side felt like it was caged, felt like, you know, the possession of it all felt like it was trapped. And I had this sensation, this desire that the only way out is if I just pulled all my skin off, right? And then I'd be free. You know, it was very interesting to observe, because I was never scared of the channeling that I do. I've never felt that it's dark or there's anything bad going on or that it's wrong and sinful. None of that stuff, right? It's not my vibe. But through the process of this, and I know a lot of people who, when they start waking up to source and that connection, especially through channeling, it can feel so disarming of your reality, right? It can feel very unnerving, like you don't know if you've got agency, you don't know who you are. It can dysregulate the physical vessel. And that's going to be part of potentially what shows up with this South Node in Virgo. And I want you to be loving and kind. I want you to be aware that this is part of the process to work through that with love and compassion, because I love that part of me that was so, it's like I felt like a caged animal, right? That I just needed this sort of restriction of the freedom of my agency was so loud. And I would let myself in those moments work through all of that, right? Sometimes, you know, really being really primal and screaming into a forest. I don't live near a forest, but I do have a park near me that I have gone into at night and howled at the moon. That there's that element of let the energy through your vessel, don't repress it. But as I said, you might want to do a meditation on this to see what comes through, right? Of what's actually caging you. But simply, this is the acknowledgement of restrictions and being aware that they're there. Neptune was conjunct this North Node. At the exact moment. Neptune is the great dissolver, the reconnector to the all, right? So Neptune is doing an absolute solid of dissolving distorted realities right now, while magnifying our sort of mystic connection to source, right? Of that sense of heightened bringing that reality of source into our reality very loudly. Neptune in Pisces Regulus, I'm sorry, I know I say this a lot whenever I talk about Neptune, it is about, can be linked into the film industry. And while it's been in Pisces, the movies that were most popular were the Avengers movies, the Marvel series. And what is that? Groups of people from different dimensions, realities, with either tools or magic or mad skills coming together to save the universe. Collective magic, right? Collective collaboration of that Pisces energy, of the all coming together to save the universe. It's just, it couldn't be any more Neptune in Pisces. So we've got that going on of the collaboration of your soul team, right? This may be showing up in your 3D as well, of just that acknowledgement of the bigger picture. And through that bigger picture is facilitating that frequency of love, of gratitude, of abundance, of magic, of possibility. We can be so rigid and calcified in our expectations of how things are going to unfold based on those mad skills. Well, it's interesting, I've said mad skills twice. Never said those before on this channel, I don't think. Of Virgo, of being able to observe and predominantly being right. But we kind of got to let go of that. We've got to let go of that to let new energy come in. And when I say new, it's always been there. Now the Lovers was crossing it. So, am I going to bring this up now? I'll loop back round. Now the Lovers is that Gemini energy, right? Which is where the moon was at the exact moment the nodes changed signs. The moon was square the nodes. Right, so squares are manifestation and building energy. They can bring about conflict, drama, and frustration, right? So we may go through a phase of not being able to make decisions, right? Of not knowing, of not having all the details, where in the past that would mean that we would be able to make the plan and know what to do in order to climb that mountain. We're dealing with yin energy, so it's requiring you to pause and to soften, right? And then allow the flow to come through you, right? The intuitive movement, that flow state, to resolve any questions that you may have. So it's saying there's a pause here, that when looking at those limiting beliefs, when those limiting beliefs show up in reality, right, of allowing yourself to soften before rushing off and making a decision. Itoela diali maduela, diali maduela, disceni moto fiela. Also with the Lovers crossing this energy, right, of it's calling on, it's highlighting the block that we may have around the fluidity of information and our ability to accept we might not know all the things, and the other people, there might be other ideas out there, right? So Gemini is very curious, it's very open to that information, and being like neither up nor down. It's sort of, there is a restriction here of surrendering and allowing new information to come in, right, to help you step out of the cage. So it's highlighting we've got to step more into that Gemini energy, and allow the possibilities of new information to engage us, whether we are like, oh my god, that could never happen. It's just the openness and the curiosity of it all. It's also, in terms of the Lovers, is like being in love with your own life, being in love with your incarnation, with this reality, that this feels like the lack thereof, the restriction around that is a block, is one of the cages that we're navigating around. And then we have the King of Cups, and this is about being neutral in terms of your emotional body and what's going on around you. It's not about being numb to your environment. It's not about hiding from your emotions and needing everything to be well and good. It's about cultivating an inner space within you that is sovereign when it comes to your emotional body, right? And then you get the power to work with this energy, this understanding and the joy of all the emotions and all the experiences, right, that do not contain and control you, that do not knock you off your perch and have you drowning in the ocean, right? So it's saying through this process of learning how to fall in love with your life again. They're really wanting your vessel to be open to the wisdom and the power in the emotions that you're feeling, and know that they are transitory, and know that they are, again, it's tying back over here, that they are a resource in which for you to manifest through. This is also that heightened creativity, that love from source that's flowing through us, right? That maturity around how we respond to things, that is asking you not to fall back into the fear mindset, the limiting beliefs, right? So there may be something that happens that really sort of shakes your emotional body, and they're wanting you to go back to that King of Cups, right? And allow yourself to feel safe and secure and sovereign in your nature. Let the emotion move through you, and then that is going to create so much space for you to creatively work with the synchronicities, with the magic from Pisces, because you think of the symbol of Pisces, it's two fishes that are attached to each other, but they're pulling in different directions. So there is this sense of push-pull with the mutable energy of the duality and polarity of the universe, right? And there's a lot of sort of understanding that all rivers lead to the same ocean with Pisces, that all those emotions are going to provide a lot of wisdom to help you understand what's yours and what's not, in terms of how you're responding to things. Because that Eight of Swords can be collective groupthink that's kept you limited. And I just heard the phrase, you got to get a bit delusional, in the best possible way. And that leads me on to the Venusian energy, who was in Pisces at the time of the nodal shift, and she's exalted in Pisces. The qualities of Venus are raised high when she's there. And the Venus energy, the Empress energy, wants you to feel good in the 3D world, right? Wants you to understand that everything around you is abundant, and creativity and fertility. There is a sense of rebirthing with the Empress, this sense of new life coming through, and really being able to hold on to that despite what may be going on around you. And as I said, it's sort of allowing allowing that kind of delusional energy, as I said, that faith, that knowing that you're supported by source. And the where you'll get your biggest magic in it to establish a strong foundation is when you still hold it, even if something's happened where you're like, oh, this isn't what I wanted, this isn't what I asked for, this doesn't feel good, right? It's about the alchemization of that frequency back into the Venusian energy, back into the King of Cups, right? Where you've had setbacks with the lovers, because the lovers is at a crossroads and they've got to make a decision. And so when we're at crossroads, that usually means we've got options. So say there's something, say you may feel that whatever's shown up feels like a dead end, right? I don't want you to push at it. I don't want you, or you do what you want. But I've been finding through my own practice, and everything that I'm saying is everything that I've applied in my own life that I've seen at work, is not push at something, right? Allow things to settle and soften, and then regain control of that emotional body. Appreciate why you would be feeling the way that you're feeling given that situation, but then step back into focusing on the expansion rather than the restriction of what's going on, right? The Empress, the fertility, the new life coming in. Because then we got the Sun, right, which is calling on this sense of liberation, the sense of joy and freedom of the self, of your vitality, of your energy, of knowing you're protected and you're safe and you can move through the world and find the sunlight. It's a big yes card. So it's reorientating us through this process of being aware that there are blocks, that there are limiting beliefs that we are working through in order to access the Empress and the Sun, right? This sense of fertility and life-giving energy that Source is bringing through us, by allowing us to go beyond the limiting beliefs of the rational expectations of how things are going to turn out, right? It really is. I was saying through the Cancer full moon reading that we're going through a massive trust fall with the universe. The astrology this year, and this is one of the big parts of it, is wild. It's completely wild. Hasn't been seen in our lifetime, right? And other lifetimes. And this is linked into Neptune and Uranus moving into Aries and Gemini. They'll dip back down into Pisces and Taurus again. And it won't be until next year that the 3 outer planets are all in the yang signs. So I'm just going to touch on this briefly. I'm going to do another lecture series on this because it's incredibly significant. We've had Pluto, Neptune and Uranus all in yang signs, making harmonious aspects to each other. Cut the deck and got the Queen of Cups. She's pure serenity. She's not worried about the future. And I'm just going to pull some cards while I'm talking about this of how to link these two energies, although they do seem very entwined already. We'll just get some clues from the tarot of how to work with this energy together. That they've all been in yin signs, right? The earth and water of it all, the observation, the nuance, the depth, the cultivation, right? The real refinement process, the inner recalibration of our collective consciousness. And this is genuinely about reorientating our understanding of reality and how to walk our path, Uranus, with Source. That's all been in yin signs. So we've been cultivating, we've been building strong foundations. And then this year, for a little bit, they'll all be in the yang signs. They will all of these signs. Pluto's already done that. And that is the outward manifestation of this inner development of our connection to Source, our heightened connection and trust and faith, and knowing that that is the reality. And the nodes moving into these signs is facilitating that huge astrology. There is an awareness here with the North Node in Pisces that you are doing some deep healing on a collective level, right? Water holds a lot of memory, right? This is not just your lifetime, but the previous ones and the ones coming through. Itoela dianima otoela, dianima otoela, dianima otoela, dishinima. Okay, okay, dianima otoela. Itanima otoela dianima dufala di shenima ishinia diatenima otoela. Right, okay, so there's a lot of cards that just come out. What was I just talking about? Did I completely forget? Anyway. Right, so let me just, what have we got? This is how to bring this all together. We have the High Priestess, which is the Moon's card, Jupiter's card, the Wheel of Fortune, the Devil underneath it, and this is the Capricorn energy, the Ace of Wands crowning it at the center, the Nine of Cups, I don't know what I mean, so the Four of Cups in reverse, and the Page of Cups either side of that Jupiter energy. Itoela di anima o tuela. So at our crown, ila. Let me just move this. Itofala di anima o tuela di anima. Di animo tuela. Sorry, I've just got a lot of crystals here. Di shinimo tuela me di anima o tuela ma di shinimo o tuela. Right, so how to interlink this energy. We've got the Four of Cups in reverse. This is, in the upright, is the externalization of our emotional body, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. It's not about what's going on with everybody else, right? This is about your reality and how you move through it. When we're in this state of frustration, regret, stagnation, as I say, externalizing our emotional body, we're disconnecting from source, we're disconnecting from abundance, because if we're kind of like sad that everybody else's life is going great but ours isn't, you are then separating yourself from the all, right? You're getting out of that headspace of realizing everything is you and you are everything, and therefore celebrating the abundant energy in life. We then draw that towards us. So I really like it's focusing on the release of this, of don't externalize your joy, don't externalize your magic, cultivate it within. This is the yin energy here. And it's come with the Nine of Cups underneath it, right? So this is about the inner gratitude. So funny, it's linking into those oracle cards, right? The inner, the acceptance, the peace, the love of existence internally, right? And the confidence that then brings you. And then you see the feedback loop of it. So it's really saying, find the joy, find the love, find the gratitude, right? And soften. The other side of this, which is more of the Pisces energy that's coming through. I mean, this is Pisces. It's a Pisces card. This page is talking to a fish and that fish is talking back, and neither of them are weirded out by it. So it's kind of like I was saying about that channeling. Be really loving and kind to what's going on. Right, soothe your soul. No, lots of people are going to be getting activated. There's no getting around it. We're all channelers, by the way. We just do it in our own way. That it doesn't have to be all the movements and the light language. We know this. There are many, many forms that this can come through. Be open to these communications. Be open to the signs and synchronicities, right? And start communicating from a place of love. Start communicating from a place of magic. This is going to help facilitate all of this. We've got the Ace of Wands over the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune, as I said, is a Jupiter card. And this is all about the understanding that things are always in your favor, right? The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, they're all in your favor in terms of the evolution of your soul. And so often we can get fixated on everything going great and everything being good. But the amount of lessons just throughout my whole life, but over the last 2 years, I've been so grateful for all of them. And they haven't been easy. They've been hard. And just this knowing, this kind of like mindset of, I've got to trust in this. And everything I've had worries about and fears about, when I've just backed away from it and got on with my life, they've worked out, right? Without much pushing. This isn't about pushing against anything. Itoela di anima o toela. We have the Ace of Wands here, and this is tying in that North Node in Aries, right, of the instincts, of a renewal of our instincts with that transit that is going to help guide us with this. We're going to be in alignment with this frequency, but by putting observation on what it is and how to work with it, we then amplify it. We've got the Devil at the bottom. And this is our root energy. And this is all about manifesting in the 3D world from a place of power. Before the Christians turned the horn god into the devil, it was the masculine yang manifestation energy, right? Fertile energy, big energy. This is Capricorn. This is the mountain goat. This is the ability to go the distance. And the sun and Mercury were both in Capricorn at the time of this shift. So it's letting us know our root of focusing on the building on the long term, right? Of going inward and working out your own power to manifest Again, it's not externalizing it, but it's cultivating it internally in order to bring it out into the world, right? Without the restrictions and the limitations of the confines of fear, right? The High Priestess knows she is drawing towards her that which brings her abundance and fertility, right? She knows. She's not having to worry. She's not having to control. This is the non-pushing surrender energy I've been talking about. The two pillars here represent the material and the unseen realms and how they are in balance. And when they are in balance and you understand that they are all working together, that's when we step into High Priestess mode, when we surrender that energy. It is the Moon's card, right? So there's a real sense of trusting in this process, trusting in your intuition, and trusting that you are... Why is that King of Pentacles there? Interesting. Don't know where that came from. Trusting that you are manifesting and creating in this 3D, right? From a place of abundance. See every... So interesting, the king and the two kings, the King of Cups and the King of Pentacles, showed up in their respective signs, i.e. Virgo and Pisces, of this sovereignty of our agency and how we build in the world from our emotional and our physical vessel, right? The King of Pentacles understands that every act is an act of abundance, and the more that we are in that mindset, rather than, oh, this act created this difficulty and led to this, it's still an act of abundance. You still created something. And we're rephrasing and imagining our reality, and the more that you're open to that and in alignment with that, the more we're going to get a reciprocity with source. The more it's going to take us out of the hamster wheel, right? The Two of Pentacles for me is being on the hamster wheel, right? Survival mechanism. Got to keep working, got to keep going, got to keep doing, got to get the food, got to get the roof over the head. Can't think of anything else. Can't think outside of this, just juggling these two balls. If I don't, I won't survive, right? You see this, all this stormy weather going on. It's very turbulent energy, right? Very hamster wheel vibes. So it's come up in reverse. So this is taking us out of that productivity fear mindset, understandably so, because there is a lot going on, to lead us to higher wisdom, right? To lead us to a divine illumination that if we just soften just a little bit and practice. If you're very much a go, go, go kind of person, I'm very restless. I've had to get out of my own way quite a lot. I always try and implement everything that I get downloads about. As I said at the beginning, I don't bring things to this table that I haven't seen work. And the surrender, softening vibe is strong, and it leads to that impulse to take action. Right, how are we at? We are at 1 hour and 1 minute as I say that. So I'm going to do it here. I'm going to do it here. There's just so much to say. I'm wondering whether to do another video for this one. So, Gemini is where the South Node in Virgo is manifesting and building. So eclipses activate, right? They start cycles. And the South Node in Virgo is manifesting over in Gemini. Now, this releasing of control, this refinement of how we facilitate our 3D experience is adding on a layer of maturity to our Gemini energy, right? Now, when the South Node manifests in a sign, we've all had that in Cancer since July 2023. And with South Node energy, it can restrict, it can isolate, it can draw us inwards. We're not necessarily seeing the outward yang manifestation. It's an incredibly profound transit, and as I said, it doesn't happen for 18 to 19 years of what the intention of that's going on in Virgo is going to be manifesting and deepening that Gemini energy, which is also ruled by Mercury. So there's the two Mercury ruled signs are going to be acting as the South Node frequency. I'm just going to pull two cards to represent what the intention of the Virgo South Node is, how that is manifesting, what the intention of that is in the sign of Gemini. And obviously Jupiter's there. It's going to be there for a little while longer. When does Jupiter move? Jupiter moves into the sign of Cancer. Where are you, buddy? 8th and 9th of June. Diala moduela dianima. Dinima. Di shinimoyela. Conjunct Mercury, actually. Itoela dian, just before the summer solstice in Cancer. Itoela ma dianima. So we're really... so we've got a couple of months still with this Jupiter and Gemini energy. Well, actually nearly half a year. Of creating our capacity to expand in terms of how we engage in information, right? We're letting go of certain structures over in Virgo with the South Node, and we're seeing that manifest as a deepening of our capacity to, as I say, be very curious and very open in the engagement with information. Dishinima duela dianima dielimo duelima duela Ishinimo duela madianima o duela inima o duela. So it's interesting that as I'm talking about this, I'm feeling restricted in my communication, as in like the words aren't flowing as easily, that there is this sense of shift going on with that Gemini energy. And it was interesting that the ascendant was in Gemini at the time of recording. I'm also recording this on Wednesday, which is Mercury's day. Mercury's up in the sign of Capricorn. Just heard there's a transmission coming through. I just got to be patient and wait for it. And I think that's kind of what the Virgo stuff is doing over in Gemini, is that there's just such a lot of pause showing up around how we process and how we engage, that by allowing space for either in the way that we communicate or the way that we're engaging with information, that we're going to get a greater deal of clarity and downloads and upgrades by allowing, just pause it, just allowing the pause to come through. Okay, I had a feeling they wanted me to use another deck. Dianima otoela, dishinima, dialama, dishinima, dianima otoela, dishini, dianimoyela, dianamoyela maoyela. Okay, so do I have that? They drew me to a oracle deck, which I'm going to read from. So, what number is that? It is not a number. It is a letter. Okay. I'm not a number, I'm a free man. Anyone who's watched The Prisoner, leave a comment in the description box. Thinking something is one thing when it's actually a nothing. When it's actually another. That Virgo refinement, that releasing of assumptions and observations is going to allow that Gemini energy to see the truth of the illusion in the information around us. To realize what's really underneath the surface. To have a deeper resonance with the information coded in things. So say you're listening to somebody talk and they're saying one thing, but you're getting a download that is not that thing. Cool, okay, I'm down for that. And it doesn't mean that it's bad or anything, it's just that we are establishing a more nuanced and detailed capacity to engage in the information of the universe that is allowing us to be open to the multi-layered complexity of the information around us, where we're not getting overloaded in the same way, right? Where we're not, like getting headaches or getting frustrated or overwhelmed in the same way. As we make our way across the meadow to the thicker parts of the forest, there's a subtle shift in the sensations in the body, one that might initially be barely perceptible, but soon becomes undeniable. It's nearly impossible not to take deeper breaths. The richness of the forest's ocean, interesting, haha. Forest oxygen, given freely and generously from the trees, the standing ones, to us, is a natural exchange for the carbon dioxide we release every time we exhale. Further, the animals of the forest participate in this exchange, as well as what is one of the most miraculous and remarkable collaborations between plants and animals that serve to help each other live and thrive. The ratio of this oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange has been in balance for millennia, but has been changing quite dramatically in the last several years as carbon dioxide levels have been rising. Yet there are many parts of the world where we can still enjoy this refreshing and revitalizing effects of the afternoon, enjoying the sights, sounds, and smells of a walk in the forest. Through prayer and action, we can express our gratitude to these tree beings as the many gifts they provide, not the least of which is contributing to the very air we breathe. Things are different after a walk in the forest. Now, Gemini especially, but all the air signs, it's good to do breath work to recalibrate. Gemini can be very frenetic. It's the fastest moving sign in the zodiac, can be very distracted. And this genuinely feels like a grounded stabilization coming from that Virgo South Node that is allowing the piece within to digest the bigger picture, i.e. the ecosystem of information around, as highlighted by this forest. But it's also highlighting a good practice. Breath work for me, I've been getting hit by the universe in every direction about breath work. For me, it is the bridge to source, and it was one of the gateways into all of this. Your breathing is too shallow. Although it may feel natural, it's an unhealthy habit that causes this shortness of breath. When you subconsciously shorten your breath, no matter if this is habitual or triggered by some event or circumstance, it activates certain psychological signals that prepare psychological signals that prepare your system for flight or fight. Another conditioned response to perceived danger is to hold your breath. This is your survival response, although it does not serve you to do so. So breathe. Inhale deeply, regardless of your concerns, worries, or problems, then let them go. Next, allow yourself to breathe a little deeper and slower a few times. Remember that every breath you inhale is a gift, and every breath you exhale is a gift. The forest is a clear reminder of how this works. So that's like the calming energy that's coming in for Gemini, right? Of giving yourself that space to slow down and recalibrate the nervous system and find the deeper wisdom in that flow state of the breath. Itoela di anima, o tuela di anima, o tuela di anima, o tuela di anima, o tuela. Dishini muela di anima, o tuela ma di anima, o tuela dishini ma di anima. So that Virgo energy, right, that is yin, is feeding into Gemini to allow us to slow down, to be able to engage in information beyond the fast-moving, shallow breath that has us in fight, flight, and fear mode, right? That control energy. And with this, is giving us this resonance that's allowing more messages to come through by activating an open mind. So that South Node is manifesting in Gemini. I'm going to talk about that in the All 12 Signs series as well, because it can be a little bit of a difficult transit. It can just feel like that Gemini isn't out and about and exaggerated as it usually is. But it's letting itself calm down, and then it's allowing that nervous system of our vessel to reconnect to the greater whole that is calming that and allowing the flow of information and the messages to be really amplified. I'm going to pull the anima. Di shinimo yela di animo duela di anima. Di shinimo duela di anima. Itu fala di anima. Di shinima o tuela. Right, so Sagittarius is where the North Node is going to be manifesting, ruled by Jupiter, right? The outward yang manifestation of it, the preacher mode, the good vibration flow, the Roma of the zodiac. So we're going to see a heightened sense of clarity of truth and faith and our capacity to put it into action, right? And really allow the manifestation of the alchemical process, which is temperance, which is the sign for Sagittarius, of that water and fire together, of the intuition that's guiding the instincts, right? And so there's a real strengthening of striving to build from the wisdom and the intuition and the faith and the confidence of the unfolding. You're going to find your instincts taking you into new territory, allowing you to be guided to that which feels good energetically on a soul level. Dianima ottoela dianima ona dianima di anima ottoela dishini. New beginnings dawn. The start of the day brings with it reassurance that the night has passed, making way for new opportunities, no matter what has come before. It reminds us of the predictability of the daily cycles, that first light that forecasts the sun appearance awakens the winged ones who sing and chirp happily in the advent of another morning. Right? Very good vibe, Sag. Wake up, get on with your day. It's not about being bound and restricted to where you've been. You are where you are now. It's a time of fresh beginnings from which we can create whatever kind of experience we desire. In this image, we see the rays of the sun stretching into the valley, while the sun itself peeks around the corner, as if it had set its course to proceed around the bend in the river, which appears relatively still from its rest during the night. This scene exemplifies renewal and new beginnings. When you witness the initial stages of dawn without the benefit of a clock or other timepiece, for a while you may not be able to discern whether the sky is really lightening. The stars remain visible, and the shadows of the night still shape the landscape. It is that way with any beginning. It is difficult to tell where the old ends and the new begins. Gradually, however, it becomes clear to your senses that the light is definitely increasing, and as you continue to observe, the world slowly wakes up, accompanied by all the sounds, smells, and freshness associated with it. Soon the first glimmer of sun shows a new day has begun. This is a time to say farewell to the old and honor the new by releasing any self-imposed constraints or resistance to the truth that you know. This is your chance to develop that project you've been thinking about. Embark on that adventure you had dreamed of going on. Very Sag energy. And take risks in initiating what your intuitive self has been telling you. As this prospect becomes increasingly visible and real, doubts and uncertainties may arise, but rest assured, just as dawn inevitably turns into day, by heeding your inner guidance, you will succeed. Well, that all tied up in a lovely, lovely little bow. Love it when that happens. We've got, cut the deck for the Sagittarius energy. We've got Hierophant, Trainer, Wisdom, Understanding, Mentoring. So there's the embodiment of that Pisces wisdom, right? There's a real sense of the wisdom that is deep in your intuitive self, that is allowing, we got a lot of fire in all of these readings actually, of that Sagittarius energy, of the instinct to get up and go and do the thing, right? The confidence of Sagittarius, right? So, you know, ruled by Jupiter. So there's, with this deeper understanding coming from Pisces, it's allowing you, the Hierophant is about the spiritual vessel of Source, right? It's the Pope in the traditional Rider-Waite. You have to go through certain stages to embody it, Taurus, embody this belief, and put it into practice. So I really love that that's shown up of this, us walking our spiritual path, knowing that we are connected. Cut the deck as I say that. We've got the Hermit card, truth. Right, so that sense of this is the truth that's coming through, but it's about your experience, right? Guides, facts, wisdom. It's about your experience and your understanding and not what anybody else tells you. Cut the deck and got Temperance. Hello, Sagittarius. Balance, miracles, combinations, environments. So we're rebalancing ourselves, we're alchemizing ourselves to these miracles, right? To this new environment that we're engaging in, but it has to come from our inner truth, our inner knowing and our embodiment. And this is the energy that we're working with. Itoela di anima, otoela di anima, due shalima, doela di anima. That we're going to see in our instincts and the movement that those instincts bring, an integration of that spiritual wisdom in our 3D incarnation. So much of it can go on in the mind, but not feel it, right? And this is all about your vessel feeling the love of source. I just asked the energies if they have anything else they want to say. And they said, we want you all to know that we love you and that we're here with you and that we will show you signs of that. Open your heart. Open your eyes. And let go of the criticism. And see the connections. And your wings will fly. Well, my loves, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this resonated, right? I hope it gave you some food for thought. Yeah, big shift. I'm loving it already. I feel very flowy, very soft, very surrendered. There's a lightness in my energetic body. There's a lightness in my emotional body. That full moon in Cancer was wild. And that was a setup for all of this, of being able to trust it, right? Because there's a lot around trust here, and letting go of control, and allowing the dissolving of what we perceive as truth, and finding the adventure in it. Well, my loves, I'm going to leave it there. I was going to talk about numerology. We're in a year 9. And the last time we were in a year 9 was 2016, when the South Node was in Pisces, the North Node was in Virgo. You want to think about what was going on there, right? We've got a level of completion here, right? A closing out of a cycle. And with that comes in a big activation. I remember in 2016, I became more myself, right, than I had been for a while. I was very stuck in a certain space energetically. And I was allowing myself to come out more. I was very restricted by my old profession and what is expected of you to be in that space. So you might want to look back to the last, 2016 was the last year 9. And I find it very interesting that we have this 9 number, with the last of the zodiac signs and the North Node being there. This is a closing out of a whole massive karmic cycle. And what is released with that is activating the next level, the next stage of the next 9 years, which is wild. Anyway, I might go into more detail about that in the oracle reading. We'll see what other things want to come through in there. If you enjoyed this series, hit that like button, leave a comment. Oh, I keep forgetting to mention, there is a competition at the moment. You got till the 19th of January to enter when the sun moves into Aquarius on the 20th, to comment in the description boxes, not in the description boxes, in any of the videos. Check out my latest 2 shorts. I talk about the competition, and there are 3 personal readings up for grabs. Also, if you want a Mars retrograde personal reading, they are 50% off at the moment. Go check out, email me. Sorry, I've done 3 videos in a row. It's, my brain is starting to go blub 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 blub, and we've got to be okay with that. with this Pisces energy. We've got to be okay with the, you know, feeling like you're under the ocean, and let that Virgo need perfection just dissolve in that ocean with it. I tofala di anima, doela di anima, or toela. And your vessel on the other side of this is going to be so much more in its power with this co-creation with the source of Pisces. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, email me directly if you want to take me up on that Mars retrograde transit, which is set up of all of this as well, because it's linked into the lunations being in the sign of Cancer and Leo. Ooh, okay, guys, be good to yourself, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.